Thank you all for joining us this morning. I know we've got an hour reserved, and hopefully after we finish our slides, we'll have some questions, but I don't anticipate us taking up your full hour. So the impetus for this webinar was to put out a little bit of information for new members, for old members, for anybody who would like more information about what FPI does from soup to nuts. So if we can go ahead and get started, we'll take a quick look at our logistics just to make sure everybody knows. You can hear us, we can't hear you, and that's okay. There is a chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. Please feel free to enter any questions you might have into that box, and we will save some time at the end to answer those. If you've missed something, you want to go back and see the slides or hear our voices again, or you want to share this information with a colleague, please feel free to do so. We're recording the webinar and we plan to publish that out in a number of ways to all of you after we are done. So just a quick look at our agenda. We're going to cover multiple things today. First off, we're going to introduce you to the FPI staff. We're going to talk about the governance of FPI, our committees, divisions, and special interest groups, and then talk about the benefits and resources we have for you as members. Wrap things up with our conferences, our most special and important conferences, and then field any questions you might have. So with the staff, I'm going to turn this over to each of our staff members to introduce themselves.
Thank you very much, Natha. This is Lynn Dyer. I'm the president of the Food Service Packaging Institute. I'm so excited to have so many of you on. You know, as Natha said, it's important for us for new members, and the good news for us is that, you know, we have record membership right now. We're over about 75 members at this point. So I'm glad to have some new members as well as some other members that just need a refresh on kind of what's going on. So a little bit about me. My contact information is there for you. I do want you to think about the fact that you should be considering the FPI staff an extension of your staff. You know, we're here to help you, so we're going to talk about a lot of things today, but as you have questions, we encourage you to reach out. So I myself have been with FPI for over 20 years now. I think 21 is the count for this year, which is kind of crazy. We talk about once you get food service packaging in your blood, it kind of stays in your blood, and it certainly has with mine. So in terms of what I do at FPI, I might just hit the last bullet, which is pretty much everything. A little bit, I dabble. I do a lot of the membership, a lot of the outreach, so you'll see me at a lot of conferences giving presentations. I do a lot of the communications. I'm the primary person at FPI who does media interviews, and we're getting more and more of those requests. I run our statistics program, which we'll talk about, and I manage our egg and trade division. So again, I touch a little bit of everything and just try to be the glue that holds everybody together and pushes us through. So with that, I'll turn it over to Natha.
Sure. As I've said, I don't know, 3 times now. My name is Natha Dempsey. I am the vice president here at FPI. We like to say occasionally in meetings that I am the Robin to Lynn's Batman. You probably know me from the newsletters that you receive. I am the one who tends to put out both our executive briefs and packaging innovations and insights. I do a lot of our surveys and then the resulting reports. I also manage the day-to-day for our special interest groups here at FPI, and also run our technical work, which includes FPI's technical committee, which you will hear about a little bit later. There's a little bit of an odd one down there on the end for some of you. What is a rigidity tester? Well, we have an FPI recommended rigidity tester out there that is manufactured by Peerless Machinery, and occasionally we get requests for those. We're sort of the pass-through for sales on those. So if you know of anybody that ever wants a rigidity tester, send them to me.
Hello everyone, I'm Jennifer Goldman. You probably hear from me the most when it comes to conference time and billing time. Those are my 2 main focuses, and we are knee-deep in that right now. Additionally, I do the website and social media. Brian?
So Brian is our newest employee, and he's actually, while the rest of us are located just outside of Washington, D.C., Brian is our first remote employee. He's actually based in Atlanta, so he's actually not physically sitting around the table here. But Brian, I'll turn it over to you.
There in spirit.
Exactly, always.
Yeah, I am Brian Cernolka. I'm Director of Government Relations for FPI. I started back in October, so I'm still relatively new to the organization, but I came from the paper industry, so I'm very familiar with a lot of the issues that we work on. I'm leading our Government Relations Committee right now. I'm also responsible for the legislative and regulatory report that comes out once a month that I believe everybody's receiving. If you ever have any questions related to how we can better engage with stakeholders or be a part of any coalitions, please reach out to me. And as Lynn mentioned, I'm in Atlanta, so if you're ever in the Atlanta area, I'd love to grab coffee with you and catch up.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, so the first section that we want to cover is governance, and that's really kind of that higher level, you know, how does FPI operate, and just answer a few different questions for you, because what we find is, you know, we send a lot of this information to one or two representatives from the company, but not everybody understands this. So, you know, all converter, supplier, and international board members have a vote. So essentially what happens is that we do have a board of directors, and that board of directors really sets the strategy for the organization. So on the big important issues, things like budget, board nominations, elections, changes to the bylaws, dissolution of the association, which we certainly never have to deal with, every single member company has a vote. And so it's by member company, not by individual. So compare that to a professional association where each individual member would have a vote. In this case, this is the company has a vote on everything. So as I mentioned, we do have a board of directors, and then that organization typically, or that group typically meets about 4 times a year, right in advance of the 2 meetings that Jennifer will talk about, and then we'll have conference calls on top of that. So if you go to the next slide, please. So sometimes we get questions specifically about the board of directors. So just to be clear, only the converter and supplier members, so those are the raw material suppliers and the machinery folks, are eligible to join. The way we work is that each late summer, early fall, we'll send out a call for nominations. So we'll send that to all of our companies. So just as a reminder, the way we operate, and I can't remember if we have this someplace else, but the way we operate is, because right now we have 75 member companies, when a company actually joins FPI, they nominate a primary or alternate, so that they are receiving all of the materials. So when we go out and do a nomination or call for nominations, those go to the primary and alternates for that specific company. So that call for nominations doesn't go to every single representative, every single member company out there. But so that nomination request goes out to the primary and alternate contacts. We ask if people have nominations, and we explain what the responsibilities are specifically for the board of directors, and we've listed them here. So it's really helping to set their strategic plan, provide feedback for us on activities and projects, help with member retention, assist with our budgets, and then, like I said, meet for quarterly typically. And so what happens then if somebody leaves, because it is an individual position and not a member position, so let's say somebody leaves the company, another company representative doesn't just automatically fill that slot. That slot will be vacant until the following fall, when we actually have the call for nominations again. And the term is for 2 years, but that can be nominated. So if you're interested in joining the board, we'd certainly love to have you. So if you want to reach out to us, or make sure you reach out to the primary alternates, and if you don't know who that is with your company, you can ask us that, and then send us your name, and then that actually goes out to a vote to the full board, and then the full membership, and they vote on that, and it's by greatest number. So governing documents, just so you understand all of this, we do actually operate with bylaws, and we update them from time to time. The last time we updated our bylaws were in 2015, if I remember correctly. And, you know, so we update them as needed, depending on what's going on with the association. The other thing that we do from a more frequent basis is our strategic plan. So one of the things that we have tried to do is create a strategic plan with the board of directors, and we plan to update it about every 5 years. But we also recognize that we can't do everything in that strategic plan with a staff of, yes, 4 full-time people. And so what we do every year is identify, let's say roughly 4 key focus areas for us to work on for that specific year. So typically in the fall, we go to the board of directors and with a recommended list of focus areas. The board approves that, and then we take that to the members the next day, talk to them about it, and then what we do throughout the coming year is really provide updates on how we're actually meeting the goals set out specifically by those focus areas. So if you do not have a copy of the bylaws or a copy of the strategic plan and you'd like to see it, feel free to email us and we're more than happy to share that with you. The other thing to keep in mind is because we are a trade association, we actually do have all of our calls typically and our meetings, we do have a legal counsel on retainer. So Tony McLeod is from Whitman Breed, Abbott Morgan is our legal counsel. So he attends all of our meetings. He might not be on all the calls, like for example, every single government relations call is not, Tony is not on the call, but FPI staff are trained in antitrust guidelines. So if Tony is not available, then the FPI staff will monitor us. I would also point out then when a company joins FPI, we do pass along a copy of FPI's antitrust guide. So the members understand kind of the rules and limitations and the conversations, because we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we should be doing and not doing what we shouldn't be doing. We are going to send out these slides, I believe. So there's a hyperlink in here to this antitrust guide. So if you're interested in seeing that, you can see that as well. So if we go to the next slide, I think I'm going to turn it back to Natha, if I remember.
So it's Natha again. Let's talk about our committees, divisions, and other groups. You will see here we've got a number of committees that are, well, I guess committees and divisions, we'll call it, that are standing. First is, Brian mentioned the Government Relations Committee. Lynn just mentioned it a bit ago. We've got some specific slides since that's a newly engaged group. It's been around a while, but we've refreshed it. And yeah, Brian's going to give you a little bit more insight into that. Our technical committee, I staff the technical committee. That is currently an ad hoc committee, meaning we work on a project by project basis. We found it's very difficult for folks in that arena, primarily because they're so busy with their day jobs, to spend a whole bunch of time talking about technical issues with FPI, that we've limited that to an as-needed basis. The next two are our divisions, and I'm going to pass it back actually to Lynn shortly here so that she can talk about the egg packaging division and food packaging trades division.
Yeah, so one of the things we didn't mention earlier, but for those of you who aren't aware, FPI has actually been around for 86. Let's do the math. It gets kind of high when the number gets up that high. We've been around since 1933, and over the years, FPI has actually acquired other associations. And so I can't remember the exact year. I know I've been with FPI for a long time, but not that long. I believe in the 1970s is when we actually acquired, there was actually an egg packaging association, and there was a food packaging trays association. And so FPI actually acquired both of those associations, and we created specialized divisions for them. And one of the reasons that we ended up doing that was because in many cases, these companies are making egg packaging or they're making food packaging trays. And just to be clear, what I'm talking about there are things like meat trays. Like, so when you go to the grocery store and you get your steak, your chicken, or your seafood, it's typically on a tray. And so those folks are making that, but typically a lot of those companies are also making food service packaging. And so that's the tie-in. So that's why we have the egg packaging division and food packaging trays. You might wonder why. That's why. And so in the case of those two organizations, because there's overlap within the companies themselves, those two divisions meet together once a year at FPI's fall conference, and we discuss issues related to those specific industries. And in that case, one of the things that we do is we actually offer a statistics program for the food packaging trades, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. So just wanted to give you a brief understanding of why exactly we have an egg packaging and food packaging trade division. All right, with that, Natha?
Sure. So I also staff our supplier division here. The supplier division is just the opportunity for folks that are in the either raw materials space, either paper or plastic or aluminum, whichever way we're going, as well as those machinery suppliers, again, paper, plastic, aluminum, to get together once a year, again, at FPI's Fall Conference, to speak about things that pertain to the supplier world, and also just offer input. You know, are we doing the right things here at the association as far as the supplier world is concerned? So Brian, I'm going to turn this over to you for a little bit more elaboration on our illustrious Government Relations Committee.
Great. Thank you. I think we have some slides.
Yeah, can you see your slide, Brian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so as Natha mentioned, we launched the Government Relations Committee in January of this year. It is chaired right now by 4 co-chairs as we are moving through this new undertaking. In this committee, we highlight current legislation, ordinances, and we discuss any on-the-ground intel that members may be receiving or specific lobbyists, may be receiving. And then we identify opportunities for FPI to engage in coalition work or management. We approve comments and testimonies that FPI will submit through that process too. The Government Relations Committee also launched an engagement strategy this year, which helps direct proactive and reactive government relations activities for FPI. It really helps narrow down where we're working and what issues that we're working around and the level of effort that we put into each one. And right now we are going through a process of collecting economic impact data to produce state and providence-based fact sheets to use in government relations conversations. So these would be leave-behind sheets that we would walk into a policymaker's office with and discuss what the complete impact of food service packaging in the state is and what it means to that specific state. If your company has not submitted any economic impact data to me, please reach out to me and let me know. I'm currently compiling it, and if I don't have it, you'll definitely be hearing from me soon. I also wanted to highlight just a few other resources that the Government Relations Committee offers. We have our monthly legislative and regulatory report. This includes a tracker of all the introduced legislation in the United States right now, and that's up to 353 bills for this year. It also includes summaries on local ordinances and issues that are happening in the provincial or municipal level in Canada. Additionally, attached to that monthly report, we include an enacted legislation spreadsheet that will walk you through all the different areas that we're tracking and the bills, or ordinances that have passed in those areas. And additionally, we use multi-state as our tracking system, so we have access to all the policy issues that are out there in the U.S. and would certainly work with you to help you identify any of the state's activities or anything else that you're interested in. I think that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Sorry about the little glitch there, folks. As mentioned earlier, this is Natha again. I run the day-to-day management of our special interest groups. For those of you who don't know what a special interest group is, for FPI's purposes, this is a group that has a specific purpose, and it may be around a specific material or activity that requires the group to be held separately in terms of both from the membership standpoint and from the management and funding standpoint. So in this case, we've shown you our four recovery special interest groups, and those are the Paper Recovery Alliance and Plastics Recovery Groups. There are 2 groups, but they meet together and do a lot of activities together. So that's why you'll see them lumped together in that first bullet. The Foam Recycling Coalition, which only worries about recycling polystyrene foam polystyrene, there we go. And then our newest special interest group, the Paper Cup Alliance, and they are working on the recycling of paper cups. All right. Now to get into the things that are probably most interesting to all of you, which would be our member benefits and resources. Lynn, I'm going to kind of, float this first part, and then I'm going to turn it over to Lynn because she's already mentioned the statistics program, but I want her to sort of elaborate a little bit on that. So we offer a bunch of stuff. Many of you are receiving our executive brief newsletter, which comes out once a week, typically once a week, unless we can't find enough stuff to send it to you. And you may be aware of the State of the Industry survey and report. That is our annual survey. It just wrapped up. We did the survey, and then the report came out earlier this month. That would have been something that was sent to your primary and alternate representatives. You have the right as a member of FPI to see that report. So if you'd like to see it, just drop me a line. I'll make sure you get a copy of it. Our trend survey and report, so the State of the Industry report goes out at the beginning of the annual year. The trend survey and report goes out usually around Labor Day. The trend survey, we want everybody's opinions that we can possibly get. We compile those into a report and then send that out as well. So the last trends report went out in the fourth quarter of 2018. Again, you as a member have a right to see that full report. Please reach out and I'm happy to send that off to you. So those are our market research pieces that you're probably most familiar with that you're seeing from me. And now I want to flip this over to Lynn because she's the primary person for both of these last bullets.
Okay. So just on statistics programs, FPI has offered statistics programs in the past, and we will continue to offer them depending on the wants, needs, and desires of our members. So currently, we actually offer two different programs right now. One is for those meat trays. So again, just meat, seafood, chicken, your typical grocery store type trays. And as well, we offer a separate one specifically for plastic cups. And those do not include foam polystyrene. So we actually, in that case, we break it out by polypropylene, PET, PLA, and polypropylene. And this might be exciting for some of you. You think, oh my gosh, I'm going to get access to all this information. Unfortunately, the information collected as part of the quarterly statistics program is only available to those companies that actually participate in the program. So unless you are making those products, you're not eligible to participate, which means you don't actually see the numbers. So that's the downside. But I will say we've looked over the years at expanding some of these statistics programs because we all know that everybody would love to see numbers and it's hard to get. But if there are folks that would like to try to launch other types of programs, let us know, give me a call or send me an email. Happy to chat about it. Now, one of the things we do offer to all of our FPI members is market size estimates. So FPI over the years has run its own market research programs. In the past, we used to use a third-party consultant who would put those together. It was quite expensive to do it, think $80,000 a year. So we just simply didn't have those kind of funds. And so one of the things we have stopped doing is that specifically because we recognize that there are other groups like Fredonia or Technomic or other folks that might have this data. But one of the things that we have done, and we did back in 2017, was to take a look at our old market research numbers in terms of units for all these products. So think of every single food service packaging product out there: cups, plates, cutlery, dinnerware, lids, straws, you name it. We took all the data that we had and then we sent it off to our members and said, let us know what you think about these numbers. Do you have a better guesstimate? So by combining member estimates versus other research and other sources of data, we actually did produce a market size estimate report back in 2017. And again, that is actually broken out both by the United States and Canada. And then for each individual product, so think about like a cup, we separated that out by material type. So we have it for all the different resin types as well as the single and double-sided poly, whether that's PLA and we have, I think in that case, it's PE and PLA. So if you don't have a copy of that market size, those spreadsheets, and we did make it into spreadsheets because we thought then if you wanted to manipulate it, you could do that. The other thing I would mention is we put all of our information in terms of units because we know that for many of you, that's how you think. but for some of you, you think about it in other ways. So we also figured out an average weight for all those products. And so we could actually calculate the tonnage for that amount as well. So, or pounds. I can't remember off the top of my head if we have pounds or tons. But either way, all that information is available. If you don't have a copy of that, please send me an email and I'd be more than happy to share it with you. The only thing I would ask is that you keep that within FPI. So you may share it within your other company, within the company, but as you can imagine, really good data like this could be used potentially against us by other folks in the public. So we would just ask that you not share that widely. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Natha, I think.
Yeah. So one of the other things that we do is we want to help promote your products through FPI's resources. And two of the ways that we do that, these are both also under my purview. God, I feel like I do a lot, and I really don't. There are four of us, and we all do a lot. Maybe you're Batman and I'm Batman. No way. The first way in which we promote your products would be Packaging Innovations and Insights. This is our mostly monthly newsletter. You know, with the holidays, we tend to run about 10 issues a year, 10 editions a year. Monthly newsletter highlighting your packaging products, whatever new or very enhanced products that you have to share with us. We love to get those. Those get sent directly to me, and we produce the newsletter, like I said, about once a month. It goes to over 700 people. That includes both members of FPI and non-members. This is the one of our few newsletters that we allow non-members to have. This also gets sent out on the wire. Like, we share this with publications, and we also utilize those products on our social media to help boost sight of your products out there in the world.
Can I just one quick comment? Just to be clear, when we're talking about this is being sent to the members, it's not just the converter and supplier members who are receiving it. It's all of FPI's distributor and affiliate and operator members. So we didn't talk about this earlier, but FPI does have a free membership specifically for food service distributors, for food service operators, and group purchasing organizations. So as a benefit of that membership for them, they receive this Packaging Innovations and Insights newsletter. So it's an opportunity for you to tout your products specifically to your customers. So I think that's really critical. Yeah. And the other thing, from a benefit standpoint for you all, while our non-members, our potential members, receive this newsletter, they are not actually allowed to submit anything to this newsletter. This is only FPI members that are allowed to submit.
Great point. So the other way in which we like to promote products would be through our Packaging Awards program. Every other year, FPI teams up with QSR Magazine to offer the Food Service Packaging Awards program. This year happens to be a Packaging Awards year. So I am actually talking to QSR tomorrow morning about ramping up our Packaging Awards program for the year. Members and non-members, we take submissions from all over the world when it comes to our Packaging Awards program, but this is also just another way we can showcase products. These also get used on social media. It's a pretty big deal. QSR runs a spread in their magazine in the November issue. So it's a great way to showcase food service packaging.
And when can folks expect to get announcements on how to apply?
Soon, hopefully in the next few months. Typically our deadline is mid-summer. And then, of course, the Packaging Awards are announced at FPI's fall conference, which Jennifer will speak about. So with that, I've just invoked her name. I'm going to turn this over to Jennifer to talk a little bit about our website and social media.
So one of the most important things we do here at FPI is clearly to communicate value and benefits of food service packaging. So two great ways to do that are through our website and through social media. If you haven't checked out our website, I would highly recommend you do so. It's brand new. We launched it last fall. I shouldn't say it's brand new. We improved it. We're very proud of our enhancements and our improvements on this. The best thing to do is to go in there and log in. So you're asking me, what if I don't have one? You can click on a button at the top right, and it will let you click something to say that you forgot your password, and you can put your email in, and it will send you a link to reset your password. Sometimes that doesn't work. If that doesn't work, send me an email, and I'll help you out with that. But please make sure and go on there, because we want you to be able to see what you can see as a member when you go in on there. So we don't have a members-only page per se. So when you go onto the website, there are certain places where you will get things that other people can't access when they get on there. So a couple of those places are the resources page. If you go on that page and you are not logged in, you will see some things that are grayed out. There's no link to those, and it says members only. But when you're logged in, those links are active. You will be able to access those. Another place is on the conferences page. We have a section down at the kind of a little bit down at the bottom that has previous conference presentations. And we have a few years going back where you can access conference presentations, whether you've attended the conference or not. Another place that you can get some members-only information is the stewardship section for recovery. There are some stewardship resources on there. That's the same thing. There's some resources that are grayed out that you won't be able to see. Okay, moving on to social media. You can see from here that we are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and the blog. We highly recommend you please go and follow us, like us, comment on our posts, like our posts. We're very excited about these things. We have some new things that we're doing, Friday and Teddy. If you haven't seen what they are, I'm not going to tell you. I think you just need to go look. So in a copy of this, these slides, we're going to have hyperlinks to these, but the easiest way to find all of these, go back to the website, the top left of the website. All of these are on there. It's very easy to get to them that way. This is not this section again.
Yep, I'm going to jump back again. Sorry, it's me again. As part of FPI's work, do we offer any technical resources? Yeah, yes, we do. One of the main things that we offer in the technical space is something called our compliance manual. It has a little bit longer title. If you get executive briefs, you may have seen this highlighted as our resource of the week. I think it was 2 weeks ago. But what that is it's a compilation of a whole bunch of resources on, things like GMPs or BMPs, but also links back to places where you can find information on things that you are supposed to be doing in the technical space or may want more information on in the technical space. So I highly recommend you take a look at that if you're at all interested in anything in the technical space.
The other thing I would just to quickly jump in on that one is that might be helpful too as you're talking to customers and they don't completely understand all the rules and regulations related to food service packaging. That might be a good third-party resource to share with them.
Absolutely, yes, because a lot of the resources that are in there, it's not from FPI, they're other sources. It's things like the Federal Trade Commission, Health Canada, and that is, I should mention, while it was built originally around the United States, we have filled in everything we can on Canada where we can. If you look in that document and you see something that needs to be added, I believe there is a comment on this in the actual compliance manual, but if you see something missing, please reach out to us because we want this to be as encompassing as we possibly can. The other thing to mention is that FPI has over the years developed a number of voluntary technical standards and testing protocols. Most of those are test methods. Rather than standards, but we actually have a council, the Standards Council. It wasn't mentioned earlier. That is open to members and non-members when we're developing things like technical test methods. We want to make sure that everybody from the industry has an opportunity to participate. So those have been developed over the years. Those are also housed primarily on our website. Again, you will find them in the resources section. And then just to sort of wrap up, how can I stay up to date on all things FPI? We send out a semi-annual newsletter twice a year, so 2 times a year. I think it's coming up in May. Am I correct on that? It typically is meant to follow our spring meeting and fall meeting, so we try to get it out around the same time as those, conferences. And it's called FPI Unpacked. So if you just want to see a copy of the rundown of everything FPI's got going on for pretty much a 6-month period, let us know and we'll get you on that mailing list. So for our final section, I'm going to turn this back over to Jennifer to talk about our conferences.
I'm very proud to say that FPI'S conferences consistently turn out to be the #1 benefit that members claim that they appreciate about FPI. So we're very excited about that. We have one coming up here very soon. You will see here there's a list of the 2019 and 2020 conferences. I won't go into those because you can read those very clearly. Just wanted to mention something you may notice, that the spring has 3 days on there and the fall has 2. The reason for that is the spring conference is slightly longer. That is a 2-evening event instead of just 1, and that starts on a Wednesday night, goes through Friday around noontime. The fall conference is starts at noon on Thursday and goes through noon on Friday. The spring conference, going back to that one, has a golf tournament. That was a little bit heavier networking, so that's the difference there. When it comes to the dates, you'll see this second bullet here that we tried very hard to plan our conferences with long lead times and to plan around other industry events. This presents quite a challenge to us because there are so many out there to consider. So we do keep an industry calendar on the conferences page. You have to go to the conferences page and you scroll down to the bottom. There's an industry calendar down there. Those are not just our events, it's other industry events, and those are hyperlinked to those particular events. Please take a look at that. If you see that there might be something missing, let us know. We will gladly add those. We think we know everything what's going on out there, but maybe we don't. Maybe you know something we don't. We would really appreciate that. Okay, moving on. Why should I attend? Well, we like to say that this is the place where the who's who of the food service packaging industry are. So we want you there. Who can attend? Member converters, suppliers, operators, and distributors. We don't allow non-members to attend our conferences, but what we do allow is potential member companies to consider joining FPI. We allow them to attend one conference. This is just one, and we've had, I think, quite a few of you on the phone that have joined us that way, and we really appreciate that. We think that's a very effective way for you to see what goes on here. May my spouse attend? Yes, absolutely. We do charge a fee for that. The reason for that is that food costs are just typically, they're a little high, and if you know anything about banquet costs, you'll know that they could be a little higher than regular costs. So that is just a simple fee just to cover food costs. What does it cost to attend, and do my dues cover the registration fees? First off, the dues do not cover the registration fees. We set registration fees to cover the basic cost of the conference, and we announce those approximately 4 to 5 months out from each conference. At the time of this call, you can check the registration page on the conferences for the spring conference, and you will see those. We don't like to give out an exact amount because that can vary a little bit by conference. So check that out, and you will get some answers for this one. And coming up soon, we will have, all of them will be right upon us, have that available sometime in summer. Okay, who takes care of registration and travel arrangements? Basically, the short answer is you. You are responsible for registering yourself online, filling out a registration form, and making your travel arrangements. You can register online, or you can fill out a form. Just, some people still prefer to fill out a registration form, and that's fine. I would just say, don't forget to do both. I have so many people that register with us and don't register at the hotel, or they do the reverse. They're at the hotel and they don't, or they, either one. They are at the hotel, they don't register with us.
Good news is Jennifer is always on it, and she'll send you an email when she sees that you have a hotel reservation and no registration, or vice versa.
Absolutely, I will be bugging you. Like I said, you hear from me a lot at conference times. That's what that is all about. Okay, so how do we figure out what we're going to talk about at the conference? So we develop a program and we talk with the board about that. We reach out to anybody and everybody. If there's something that you want to hear about at these conferences, please let us know. You do not have to be on the board to make a suggestion. We appreciate everything that you have to offer us for suggestions. Member companies are not featured as speakers. We take pride in being very neutral to our conferences, so we do not have that option. And again, last bullet, suggestions, please send to us. We really, really appreciate that. This is what we get a lot. Are you looking for sponsors and exhibitors? This goes back to that neutral thing we try to maintain at our conference. No, we do not have a trade show, and we do not offer sponsorship. So no cups at the break, nothing like that. We do not have that feature. What events may I attend at FPI's conference? When you look at the program, you may notice that we start Wednesday night with the welcome event, but there are some things before it. So we just kind of want to go through this and what you're allowed to attend, what you're not. You may see that there's a CRA, CRG meeting. We talked about those groups earlier. Those are reserved for those groups only. The exception to that may be companies that are considering joining those groups. They do need to reach out to Natha and Lynn and get approval for that. The board meeting, that is only for the elected board of directors that we talked about earlier. But everything else, the rest of the conference is open to all attendees. I would just say, just except for golf, it's not for everybody. I mean, you have to pay for that. So just have to make sure to note that. The very last bullet there, we talked about the supplier division, egg tray divisions, and during the fall, there is a special breakfast set aside for those. Just those two groups have a special breakfast. Everybody else just has a regular breakfast with all the other attendees. Yeah, for one of our favorite questions that we have here amongst the FBI staff is, what do I wear to conferences? Well, we try to keep this really easy for everybody, business casual. We don't want you to have to bring a bunch of fancy clothes to a conference, so unless otherwise stated, it's always going to be business casual. On occasion, we'll go somewhere fancy for an off-site event for a dinner, and if that's the case, I'll let you know. And I always tell people, please, please bring a light jacket or sweater. Meeting rooms are typically frigid and they're hard to fix, so please don't sit there and freeze. Bring a jacket, bring a sweater. So for the spring conference, this question, what if I don't golf? There is an afternoon time that the golf takes anywhere about 4 to 5 hours, so this is free time for the area. We try to book in great areas that are exciting at a nice resort, so you can catch up on some work and check out the local area. There's a few options. You can do whatever you want. So we have a document on our conferences website with frequently asked questions. So if there's something that I may not have covered here, there might be some things answered there. Or if you have a question, please feel free to reach out to me. I believe with that, we are at the end.
Yeah, so this is Natha again. I am here to sort of wrap things up and answer any questions. Just a little, we've had a couple of questions from the audience. There's one that I'm going to address that came in earlier, and thank you very much for this. Are ink and coating manufacturers considered suppliers of FPI? I want to address this because we have actually, as both Lynn and Jennifer have addressed, added to our membership in recent years. What was traditionally, very rigid is not anymore in terms of we've been adding folks that do colorants and additives, adding a lot, adding folks that do colorants and additives, adding folks that manufacture inks and do those sort of extra things, those components. Yes, they are considered members of the supplier division and thus can attend that breakfast, and I encourage you to get involved there. In fact, I think our chairman happens to be, of that particular division, happens to be an additive manufacturer, colorant additive. The other question I'm seeing here is, if your company is already a member, how do you gain access to executive briefs and the state of the industry report? You send me an email is how you do this. You just drop me a line, and I will make sure you get added to the mailing list for executive briefs, and I will also make sure that you get sent a full copy of the state of the industry report. The other way in which you can find the state of the industry report is through the website. We do have that listed online. There is an executive summary for people who are non-members, and there's also access to that full report.
So it boils down to you, if you're on this phone call today, you can access anything that we have talked about with only a few exceptions, and that is the statistics reports. And then unless you're part of the recovery groups, PRA, PRG, PCA, and FRC, I just threw out a lot of acronyms at once, but unless you're part of those groups, there's a limit there as well. But so pretty much every other thing that we've talked about today, you can receive.
All right, and another question coming in, will this presentation be posted on the website? Our plan is yes, to have this on the website and to share that information with all of our converter and supplier members. Making sure there are no more questions. All right. Well, we are 15 minutes ahead of schedule, and we, again, very much appreciate all of your time and efforts, and we thank you for being a member of FPI. As I think we've all said multiple times, please feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to answer questions. When you see those phone numbers, those are direct dials. They come directly to our voicemails, our telephones. So please reach out. We're happy to help. We answer a lot of questions here at FPI on a regular basis and hope to continue to do so. So with that, have a good day, have a good weekend, and we will hopefully hear from you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.